This happened in the fall of 2021 when I was 24 and desperate to cut expenses. I just started a job at a hospital billing office 40 minutes from my apartment, and my 2008 Civic was bleeding me dry with gas and repairs. A coworker told me about this app, Rideshare Plus, that matched you with people on your route. I signed up that night. He picked me up the next morning at 6:45 a.m. sharp. Martin, according to his profile, mid-40s, drove a clean gray Camry with one of those little tree fresheners that smelled like pine and chemical. He was quiet, which I liked, just nodded when I got in, asked if the temperature was okay, and drove. After 3 days, I stopped offering gas money. He said he was just happy for the company. Week 2, he started taking a different route. Avoiding construction, he said, but I checked, there was none. We'd go through this residential neighborhood I didn't recognize, past the same blue house with a broken porch light, every day. I mentioned it casually and he smiled. "You notice everything, don't you?" It didn't sound like a compliment. The notes started appearing on my car. I'd leave it in the hospital parking garage, and when I'd come out, there'd be a post-it under the wiper. The first said, "Good shift today, 12 hours?" I worked 12 hours. The second, "Windshield fluids low." It was. I figured he just noticed while walking past. The third note read, "You should lock your doors in Section G." I didn't last year. Section G was where I always parked. I called the hospital security. They reviewed the garage footage. Martin was there, standing by my car for 17 minutes, not touching it, just standing. When security approached, he showed them his Rideshare Plus driver profile and said he was checking if I'd left my keys inside. They let him go. No crime. I reported him to the app. They suspended his account pending investigation. That night, my doorbell camera caught him walking up my driveway at 2 a.m. He didn't ring, just stood at the end of the walk, looking at my house for 6 minutes, then left. I called the police. Officer Reeves took the report and said, "He's not on your property. He's on the public sidewalk. We can't arrest someone for standing." I blocked him on the app, changed my parking spot, started driving myself again. For 10 days, nothing. Then I came home from a night shift and found a small box on my porch. No postage, someone had placed it there. Inside was my hospital ID badge, the one I'd reported missing 3 weeks ago. It was scratched up, the photo worn down like someone had been rubbing it with their thumb. Underneath, a printed note, "You left this in my car. I kept it safe." I called Reeves again. He was patient but firm. "Ma'am, he returned your property. That's not a crime." I asked about a restraining order. He said I needed evidence of a credible threat, not just returned belongings. "Has he said he'll hurt you?" "No." "Has he touched you?" "No." "Then our hands are tied." The final night, I was getting ready for bed when my doorbell camera alerted. It was Martin, standing at my door. He rang. I didn't answer. He rang again, then held up his phone to the camera. On the screen was a photo of me, asleep in my bed, taken from inside my bedroom. He mouthed something I couldn't hear, then walked away. I called 911. They arrived in 4 minutes. I showed them the footage, the photo on my phone from the camera feed. They searched the house. There were no signs of forced entry, no open windows. My locks were intact. The attic access panel in my closet was slightly ajar, but when they checked, there was nothing up there but insulation. "Could have been there for months," one officer said. "These old apartments shift." They filed a report, sent an extra patrol car by for 3 nights. On the 4th night, the camera caught Martin again. This time, he was sitting in his Camry across the street. Just sitting. The police pulled him over. He was polite, cooperative. He said he was checking on a friend who'd been distant. They ran his plates, clean record. They couldn't hold him. I moved 3 days later, broke my lease, left most of my furniture. I didn't tell my landlord where I was going. I stayed with a cousin in another state for 2 months until I found a new place. Changed my name on the hospital's records, got a new phone number. I stopped using rideshare apps. Last month, I got a notification from my old doorbell camera. I'd forgotten to disconnect it. The new tenant had triggered it. I opened the app out of habit. There was Martin, in the frame, standing at the end of the driveway. The timestamp was from the night before. He wasn't looking at the house. He was looking directly at the camera. He held up a sign, "Miss the carpool?" I called the police in that jurisdiction. They said they'd send a car by. I haven't checked the footage since. This happened in the winter of 2022, when I was 31 and living in a second-floor apartment in a mid-sized city in Ohio. I just started a fully remote job as a graphic designer, which meant I was home all the time. My apartment faced the back of the building, overlooking a parking lot and a row of dumpsters. It wasn't much, but it was mine, and the rent was decent. I ordered a lot of takeout. It was my one treat: pad thai, pizza, whatever. The same driver started showing up more than others. His name, according to the app, was Derek. He was maybe late 30s, always wore the same orange and black jacket, and had this way of staring at my door for a few seconds too long after handing me the food. He never said much beyond, "Have a good one," but his eyes did this slow sweep of me, my apartment, the hallway behind me. I wrote it off as awkwardness. Then the packages started. Small ones, brown cardboard, no return address. The first showed up on my doorstep on a Tuesday. Inside was a single keychain, a cheap metal thing shaped like a cat. I didn't own a cat. I figured it was a missed delivery, but the label had my name and unit number printed perfectly. I threw it away. A week later, another package. This one had a coffee shop receipt from 3 towns over, time-stamped 7:14 a.m. that same morning. I was asleep at 7:14 a.m. My name wasn't on it, but my address was. I called the police non-emergency line. The officer who came, Officer Chen, was polite but clear. No threat, no crime. Maybe a prank? Could be the previous tenant's subscriptions. He told me to keep the packages, just in case. The third package changed everything. It arrived on a Saturday when I was actually out, rare for me. I found it balanced on my doormat when I got back from grocery shopping. Inside was a photograph. It was me, asleep in my bed, taken from the doorway of my bedroom. The timestamp in the corner read 3:47 a.m., 3 nights prior. Underneath, in block letters cut from a magazine, "Nice sheets." I called 911 this time. 2 different officers responded. They took the photo, the packaging, my statement. They asked if I'd given anyone a key, if my windows were locked. They were. I lived on the second floor with no balcony. The only way in was the front door. They checked the building's exterior cameras. Derek appeared in the footage. He'd been in the hallway 4 times that week, each time without a food bag, just standing near my door. But he never entered. He had no key. The timestamp on one clip showed him there at 3:42 a.m. The police talked to Derek. He claimed he was checking his delivery route and that I was a regular customer. They couldn't charge him with anything. No forced entry, no direct threat in the note, and technically, he had legitimate reasons to be in the building. They issued a trespass warning, which meant nothing unless he actually broke in or threatened me verbally. "Stay vigilant," they said. "Consider a deadbolt." I didn't just consider it, I became obsessed with security. Sleep became a luxury. I moved my mattress into the living room, reasoning that the extra wall of the kitchen offered better protection than a window. Every muffled sound from the hallway sent a spike of adrenaline through me. I spent hours watching the motion alerts on my phone, half hoping, half dreading to see him again. The silence was the worst. It suggested he was still there, but smarter now, just out of the camera's view, waiting for the technology to fail. I installed a doorbell camera and a security bar. For 2 weeks, nothing. Then a new package arrived. This one shipped through the actual mail, which meant the police couldn't trace the sender. Inside was a lease agreement for my apartment, with my name on it, but a different forwarding address listed at the bottom. An apartment across town I'd looked at online, but never applied for. A note, handwritten, "See you soon." I drove straight to the address listed on the fake lease. It was a dark, empty complex. When I called the rental agency, they confirmed a woman matching my description, but named Sarah, had inquired about the unit months ago, specifically asking about second-floor units overlooking the parking lot. The realization hit me. He wasn't just observing me. He was building a false identity based on my life, preparing a next chapter where he already knew my move. I realized the coffee shop receipt wasn't just a threat. It was confirmation he'd been tracking me from the beginning, checking my location against his delivery route, ensuring my movements matched his manufactured narrative. The police said it wasn't proof of anything illegal. Could be identity theft, one offered, but that's a different department. They took another report. I subletted to a coworker the next day, broke my lease, and moved in with my sister 2 states away. I didn't leave a forwarding address with the post office. I used her P.O. box. 3 months later, she called me at work. "There was a package for you," she said. "It's here on my porch, no return address." I told her not to open it. She didn't. She just sent me a photo of the label. My name, her address, and in the bottom corner, in the same block letters, "Found you." I was 68 in 2020, retired from the post office, living alone in a small house in a cookie-cutter suburb outside Phoenix. My golden retriever, Buddy, was my clock. Every night at 9:30 p.m., without fail, he'd nudge my hand with his nose. Time for our walk. Same route, left on Elm, right on Birch, loop around the park, back home. We'd done it for 6 years. The shadow started appearing in November. At first I thought it was another walker, a figure always at the far end of the block, under the one street lamp that flickered. They'd be there when we turned onto Elm and gone by the time we looped back. Never got closer than maybe 100 yards. Never had a dog. Just stood, watching. Buddy started getting anxious. He'd stop, ears back, and stare down the street. Sometimes he'd growl, low in his throat, which wasn't like him. I mentioned it to my daughter on the phone. She said I was probably just noticing patterns, that maybe it was someone on a different schedule. But the figure was always there on nights my daughter didn't call, always gone on nights she did. I started keeping a log. I called the police after 2 weeks. Officer Diaz came by the house, took my statement, and seemed kind. "Could be a neighbor, Mr. Henderson. Maybe they're just out for air." I pointed out the figure didn't move like someone walking. It stood, for 20, 30 minutes at a time. She promised to have patrols watch the area. The patrol car drove by twice that week. Both times the figure wasn't there. The officer I spoke to later, a different one, suggested my eyesight might be playing tricks. "You said yourself it's under a flickering light. Could be a shadow from the trees." I knew what he was really saying. Old man, living alone, seeing things. December 12th, Buddy pulled harder than usual on his leash. He wanted to go left instead of right, away from our normal route. I let him. We walked 3 blocks in the opposite direction, and when we turned back onto my street, the figure was standing directly across from my house, under my street lamp, close enough that I could make out a long coat and a hat pulled low. Buddy started barking, frantic, high-pitched. The figure didn't move, didn't flinch. I rushed inside, called 911. "There's someone outside my house." The operator kept me on the line. 10 minutes later, a cruiser pulled up. The figure was gone. The officer walked around, checked between houses, found nothing. "No sign of anyone, sir. Are you sure?" Buddy was still shaking, pressed against my leg. The officer left after suggesting I keep my curtains closed. 2 nights later, Buddy disappeared. I let him out into the backyard before our walk, just for a minute, while I grabbed his leash from the kitchen. The gate was closed. The fence was 6 feet high. He was just gone. I called for him. Nothing. I walked the neighborhood for hours. I called the police again, filed a missing pet report. They were sympathetic but said without evidence of theft, there was nothing to investigate. The next morning I found his collar on my doormat. Just the collar, buckled closed, lying perfectly centered. No note, no sign of Buddy anywhere. I called the police again. Officer Diaz came back. She took the collar, wrote a report, but said, "Mr. Henderson, I'm sorry, but this could have been a coyote. They can jump fences. Maybe a neighbor found the collar and returned it." She asked how it got buckled. She didn't have an answer. She suggested I consider whether a pet is manageable at my age. I stopped walking at night. I kept every light in the house on. I started seeing the figure during the day, just glimpses, standing at the tree line behind the park, next to the dumpster at the grocery store. Always watching, always at a distance. The silence of the house became its own kind of terror. I jump at the slightest creak, convinced the stalker was testing the doorknob. I started sleeping in the chair by the window, not to watch him, but to ensure no one was standing there when I woke up. I knew the waiting was the final stage before he made his move, and I couldn't handle the anxiety of the when. I moved in with my daughter in California in January, gave up the house, most of my things. I just wanted to be somewhere safe. Last month I got a package forwarded from my old address. No return label. Inside was a dog tag. It had Buddy's name on one side. On the other, an address. The house 2 doors down from my daughter's. Underneath, one word scratched into the metal. Closer. The blood rushed from my head. I immediately checked the local address online. It was a real house, just 2 lots down, obscured by a large redwood tree. How did he know? The realization that he had tracked my daughter's P.O. box and then identified her actual residence, even across state lines, was the moment I truly broke. He wasn't giving up. He was simply relocating the game. The sheer patience and dedication chilled me to my core. I threw it away. I didn't tell my daughter. I just take Buddy's old leash and walk him, wherever he is, every night at 9:30 in my mind, and I pray that wherever that figure is, it stays on the other side of the country.